Joe Canning, not marked once or twice, but indeed 3 times, gets away from the shackles of the Waterford defence and moves forward and sits straight between the posts and over the bar.
Yeah, Marty, great start for Joe Canning.
Thinking about him personally, if he retired, having not won the All-Ireland, there was a part of me and maybe part of the group was like, you'd love to help him win one, you know. It'd be an awful travesty, you know, to be saying, sure, they had no one there to help him win one, you know, that kind of thing.
Are they about to win the All-Ireland hurling title? Is the famine over?
It's over!
Galway are the All-Ireland champions 2017. Can you believe it?
It's like a pressure valve just releasing. And say enough was enough, you know. We were sick of losing All Ireland's, like.
Little taster there from Joe Canning's Lake Regale, and I'm delighted to say, really one of the great hurlers that there's ever been is here in the studio. He has told his story with Vincent Hogan. Joe Canning, my story. Welcome.
Cheers, Joe. Thanks for having me.
You've done the late, you're doing the rounds. It's all going okay?
Yeah, you're a step up now from the late, so.
Listen. I'm going to jump around a bit. Can I start on a mad kind of a story where I was telling the lads about it earlier and they said, you might have that wrong, but I don't have it wrong. So.
Right, I'll make sure whether you have it right or wrong.
So, I noticed it, by the way, 2012. Look, I guess it was your age as well, 23 into 24, you start filling out and being stronger. But you definitely, with Anthony Cunningham around that time, looked peak of your powers and fit as hell. And up until that point, you were dogged with injury. You'd played a lot of hurling, obviously, as a youngster. We're talking sciatica, plantar fasciitis. It's a bad combo. It's no fun. You're kind of a cortisone fiend up to Aina Falvey, night, noon and morning. And almost at the end of your tether, someone says, go and spend a week with Ian Law. Ian is a chiropractor. Not just that, he's an equine chiropractor. So you got to the end of the list and it was like, go work with the dude who fixes horses and spend a week with him.
Yeah.
And take it from there.
Literally, that was it. Like, that was like, I would have done everything, like plasma injections, the insoles for your shoes, all that sort of stuff, different types of injections, everything I done. I would have slept with like my feet, my toes like pulled back towards me like a kind of a sock of a thing, just to like keep stretched of my foot.
Sounds erotic in many ways.
Oh, it's not nice. It didn't last too long. But like, I'd done everything, and it was just by chance one of kind of a family friend, and it literally just freed me up.
Thought it was interesting. So you went and hung out with Ian Law, and he might have only worked on you a couple of times a day for
3 times a day for like 7 days. Yeah. So I saw him like 21 times in the week.
Hips out of alignment, things like that. He's working his magic. I thought it was fascinating. You start going to the toilet a lot. It's like this fluid comes out.
Yeah. I start like peeing basically, and just like I couldn't stop going to the toilet and just water. But
You lost 2 stone over a period.
Over the next while, like,
Isn't it mad where your career might have been if you hadn't randomly gone to a fella who fixes horses?
Yeah. That's the truth of it, because like it was injuries kind of freed up then. So a lot of stuff, even in the next couple of years, where I would have felt, oh geez, I have a tight hamstring or something like that, I would have always kind of got my back in check then. And now, it works for some people, doesn't work for other people. I'm not saying that
go to your local vet.
Yeah, I'm not saying that whatsoever. And like, I've had people texting me after that and saying, "Did you go to chiropractor to lose weight?" And I'm like, no, like that wasn't the thing. Like that wasn't it at all. It was just a thing that happened. I found it good, and I've sent other people, and they haven't, and other people have, and that's the reality of it. Like if you ask most physios, they'd say stay away from chiropractors. But it worked for me, definitely down through the years. Whenever I had anything, it was always my back was the issue. Yeah. And it was just tightness. And I would have been probably driving a lot at the time as well and stuff like that, and big miles, and I still do. But chiropractors seem to work for me anyway.
I'm going to jump into the deep end if that's okay, because your book does, and it would be wrong to talk about the book without talking about your mother, who passed away in 2022. She had a long fight on and off. What jumps off the pages, and I'm not surprised given that 2022 is not long ago. The grief still seems incredibly raw, you know. And I thought of David Clifford's interview with Malachy Clerkin last year, and he had a line which has stuck in my head ever since. Both my parents are alive. I mean, you hate to even think of these things. But he said, David Clifford that is, I can't believe this has happened to my family.
Yeah, like I read that interview actually last year, and I was there with Dad in the house, and I just showed it to Dad, and he didn't realise that it was like David Clifford talking, and I was like, and I said, what do you think of that? And he said, Jesus, just like us.
Yeah.
Do you know? I literally read that interview, and I was like, geez, that's just like Mum.
Yeah.
That was the exact same of what we felt in the family and what we felt in the house.
Does it still feel incredibly recent and raw in some respects? Or
yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. But I think actually doing the book was good in a lot of ways, because you could put it down and kind of talk about it, and would have spoke to Vincent a lot about it. And at times you get emotional, and other times then you're kind of okay with it. Whereas the first, remember when I done the Laker Gale and just the intro there, like I was very emotional at that time talking about it. I couldn't really talk about it without kind of breaking down.
Right.
But now I'm kind of dealing with it a lot more. But even like some of my family who read the book in the last few days, and like they find it hard to read that part about Mum and stuff like that. It's emotional for us all still, because she was a brilliant woman and lady, and one that everybody misses in our house. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it reads that way. It reads as poignant. Like there's certain lines. So I read the book in one sitting last night, which is a good sign. Now I also had no choice because you were coming in.
because I was coming in. You had to do your homework,
but I did. And even this, so I mean, I think it's better if people just read it. But you describe her ending in the hospice, and you know, it's just so sad. But even what caught me as much as anything was you just talking about how Mum loved chocolates, and I'd bring Ferrero Rocher to her grave and have one with her. And I thought, oh God, wow.
Yeah. We still do that. Still do that. Birthdays, Christmas. Do you know the occasions?
Is Christmas ruined now? Because on the one hand you've Josie, and then there's this kind of gaping hole at the same time. How do you find? Are you looking for? Is Christmas on the horizon, and you're thinking,
It's yes and no. I didn't really think about it too much yet. I was only just chatting to somebody today about like it's Josie's first Christmas, and like she won't really have a clue about it, obviously, because she'll only be a couple of months old, 6 months old or whatever. But I think it's a good, like she's obviously named after my mum, Josephine. So I think it's a nice reflection on my mum to have another Josie Canning, do you know, or
in the house again. Yeah. Good for your dad, I would think, as well. Another grandchild.
Yeah, I think he appreciated the name and stuff, because we didn't know whether we were having a boy or a girl at the time, so it was a nice surprise. But we had the girl's name picked. Didn't have the boy's name picked at all, but had the girl's name picked, and I was kind of, you know, you hope when you have a kid they're healthy and obviously everything's okay, but I was kind of half hoping it was a girl, like just for the name alone. But it is, I think, a nice, and she's the head off me, unfortunately. She didn't get much, Meg didn't get much of a C in with the looks, so she's very like me and a little bit like Mam with the blue eyes and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a nice remembrance.
Yeah. You say in the book that you have a faith, and as a household the rosary would have been said growing up, and that's still very much a part of your makeup. You said that by the same token I would struggle to articulate what my faith is.
Yeah.
Maybe the best way is what you talk about on your wedding day, and there's a butterfly that keeps appearing in your life and during certain periods. You might explain. Yeah,
like when we got married in Monaleen Church in Limerick, Castletroy area, and Father Tommy was talking about kind of Mam, and next thing there was this butterfly at the back of the altar up in the church, and it was flying around, and when he was talking he didn't see it because he was looking down at all of us, but everybody else was looking up to the right, like up at the back, and he was like, what's going on here, kind of a thing. And it was the 25th of November, 2022, so like chance of butterfly being in a church in November time is pretty slim. And then when we went through IVF for Josie, and we were very, very lucky, obviously, that Josie's here through that. We know how difficult it can be. But all the way through all the injections and until Meg was pregnant and we got the positive news, there was a butterfly in our house, literally in the house, non-stop, in the kitchen. And then once Meg got the positive news, it was gone. So yes, is that your fate? I think so. Because for me, it's a sign. But other people be skeptical about those kind of things, right? And that's fair enough. Yeah. And I would have been if it didn't happen to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't be. I'd be like, yeah, I'm not too. Because everybody has robins and white feathers and butterflies and different signs, and it's the same with the magpies and stuff like that. Did you see out and you've either seen one and hoping you see two or three. Yeah. So. Everybody has their own ideas on that, but definitely the way it happened on our wedding day and the way it happened throughout the IVF treatment definitely was a big thing for us. And it was as if Mum was there, looking at us. Yeah.
Good comfort.
Yeah. Huge. Because I think of in the kitchen or kitchen kind of dining room, I've only one photo, and it's of me and Mum up in the corner. From 2017. So yeah, the butterfly was around that for a lot of it as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's strange, but it happened. All right. Yeah.
The first three sentences in the book are "I'm a father. I'm a father. I'm a father." That's more than I think lived up to the billing.
Yeah.
I think you might reside around her little finger for the next 20 years somehow.
Somehow, yeah.
Getting that impression.
Yeah. No, it's a different type of love even. She's just the best thing that ever happened, so you don't think those things, I suppose, in some aspects before it happens. But it's unbelievable, yeah. It's a completely different feeling that you've ever felt before. But yeah, I'd say she'll be Daddy's little girl, for a long time.
She may know who to ask of the two parents when she wants to.
Yeah. But it's mad, as I said, she comes out looking to spit at me and Meg carrying her for 9 months. It's not really fair in a lot of ways.
Let's jump around. I wouldn't immediately associate you with Davy Fitzgerald.
You're right. Yeah.
And yet, of course, LIT Fitzgibbon Cup manager. You say of Davy, he has a purer sense of loyalty than a lot of his biggest critics. And it's safe to say you're a big fan of him for the way he dealt with you and just his general loyalty, I guess would be the word. Even one story I thought was striking and telling is that you get a bit of a hamstring strain playing Fitzgibbon, and you have a club game in 2 weeks, not a Fitzgibbon game in 2 weeks. Yeah. So, I mean, he's probably entitled to say, geez, Joe, sorry about that.
Yeah, go back to the club and let them look after you or whatever. Yeah, no, I'd be fond of him in a lot of ways, but we disagree with a lot of things as well at the same time. We have that mutual respect that, we went to battle with each other with the Fitzgibbon, but we went to battle against each other a lot of the time, more so than Anton. But I know the Davy Fitz probably off the field that people don't really see.
Yeah.
There's the Davy Fitz that people want to see in the camera and stuff like that. But no, I have good time for him. Yeah, he brought me down to that instance where I pulled the hamstring. White's in Wexford was the first cryotherapy chamber back in the day, and he brought me down the following day down there and looked after made sure that I was getting the best treatment so I'd be available for the club, and he didn't have to do that, but then he'd do anything for you when you're with him. I'm sure if you ask any of the Wexford lads, they loved him, you know, the stories of them lads coming down to his house and getting him to come back and stuff like that. And but when he's against you, then he wants to beat you. Like
about that, because you know, you do side by side put the loyalty he had for you when you're with him next to, well, when you're against him, you remember him sending David Fitzgerald on to man mark you, and like he's on the sideline and the language is raw. He's letting you know exactly what David Fitzgerald's going to do to you and what he thinks of you and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And you sort of laugh at him because that will annoy him even more.
Yeah.
But you said, I respect that about him. I was kind of thinking, I get it, but I would look at Davey sometimes and think, well, you don't have to be that way either to your opponents. So I thought it was interesting. No, I respect that, and I think you can respect it. I don't love it about him. There are other ways. Yeah,
and that's fair enough. But I respect the competitive nature in him. Like he said to us, like one of the things you live by is kind of like nice guys win F all, like, you know. And there needs to be that little bit of not a nastiness in you, but like that competitive, that it's either me or you, and it's kill or be killed, like
an edge.
Yeah, an edge. And
you agree with that?
Yeah. Because I always played on the edge, no matter what. Like I hated losing, even if it was a training.
Oh,
like
we'll get to that. You're grumpy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because it's interesting, people may not realise, maybe they knew already, but like sort of a homage to the Wexford boys, there is a time later on in your life where you turn up at Davy's house with my waddy and biscuits and say, come and manage Galway.
Yeah, like the God, we had meetings in 19 when Micheál left, and like there was a couple of names mentioned by the players, and Fitzy was near top of the list, and because I obviously worked with him and knew him, they asked me to kind of just pop by the house to see if he had any interest. And he stayed with Wexford. It was the time people were saying, geez, he might leave Wexford or whatever. So we tested the water, but I think the Wexford boys kind of rang him and kept him on for another year.
Because I don't know if it's fair or otherwise in Davy, but people would say about him now, people would say about it and do say, the game's starting to pass him by and his tactics ain't what they used to be and this kind of stuff. He's yesterday's man. That has been said about him.
Yeah.
And that strikes me as maybe a touch unfair.
To be honest, right, I think he's probably trying too hard. That's my own honest opinion. I think sometimes he can overdo the tactic side of things. And maybe people are funny, but if you look at his managerial record, it's fairly impressive when you put it up against different people. So you have to respect that as well. You know, he's got results in a lot of places he's gone to.
Yeah.
And obviously, realistically, very, very unlucky with Waterford this year that they didn't get out of Munster. And so I respect that side of him. As I said, I don't agree with everything he does. But there's their mutual respect from what he done as a player and what he done as a manager, for sure.
Yeah. I don't over-egg the next point, and it may not even be the case anymore, but there was a time, I suspect not least when you were a hot young thing coming through, where you said the inter-county environment was almost a bit safer than the club environment because there were more people around and there are cameras and there's a degree of like lawlessness sometimes about the club. I'd forgotten about the Loughrea 06 match until I reading last night, and then I looked at the photograph again, and there is a photograph, people can see it, of you've been dunted onto the ground and you're lying on your back, and there are studs coming towards your face. There's a knee cocked and it's going towards your face guard, and it's going to go through your face guard and cut you. And it's interesting, you note in the book as well, the video of the incident shows that the player in question took a detour to get to you. He wasn't running over you and you happened to be there. It was a sharp left.
Ball was gone the opposite direction, yeah.
Yeah. So that is vicious, and that, I presume, was as bad as it got. Ollie comes over and one asks, who did it? Ollie, your brother, obviously.
Yeah.
And then second point is, get the fuck up, we got to go win the game.
Yeah.
Which you duly lost.
Yeah.
That's ugly. That's really ugly.
Yeah, it is.
Commonplace. That's right out there, I presume. Or was your experience at club colourful?
No, that was a bit far. Like, obviously, when you're getting stamped on the ground. No, nothing really happened like that any other time. To be fair, but yeah, that's the facts. You can see it on video. You can see it like the photo paints its own picture. But obviously, the county board didn't think it.
No,
at the time. So yeah, it's strange how anybody I've ever met since then or has been at the match could see it, and the county board didn't. So, and that was the reality of it. And you just had to kind of just get on with it in one sense, because you can't really go like, yeah, you can complain about it or whatever, but like then you come across kind of like sour, because we lost the game, sour grapes and stuff like that, and that's an easy thing to say as well. But
and you didn't want to be a national sob story either. You know?
No, because that was like, I didn't speak about it until really now. That's the last thing I wanted was, oh geez, poor Joe, and oh, he's crying about it now, and he's not able to look after himself, and
yeah,
do you know?
Well, you might have set yourself up as a target then. Even
Yeah,
more so,
yeah. So by, I think, staying out of that and not commenting on it, there was that unknown a little bit then of like, how will he react?
Do you remember being like livid about it and disgusted by the whole thing, or as an 18-year-old did you just kind of get on with it and park it?
I got on and parked the actual incident, but the investigation after by the county board, that still doesn't sit right with me.
Okay. As in, how can you see the video footage and
not do anything about it? That's more what pissed me off more so than what happened. Like,
what's your theory on how they could look at the evidence and not take action?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, honestly. Like, there was a few guys involved in the county board that, I don't know, maybe they didn't like us, maybe they just a few friends in high places kind of a thing. But yeah, I still wouldn't speak to any of them. Like, I never had an argument with any, I never like approached anybody like or said anything, but if they said hello to me, they'd know I wouldn't be saying hello back. Like,
right.
Yeah, it'd be that, like,
that depth of feelings there still.
Yeah. Like the Galway County Board for a long time, it's changed now. It's different now.
Well, we've seen
in
this
the last few years
financial scandal of the last kind of decade.
Yeah. But in fairness to like Paul Bellew and those guys now, in the last few years, I think it's changing for the better. But definitely for the majority of my career, most of the people involved were just there for themselves and not really for the betterment of Galway. Do you know?
Yeah, I do, because it came across, actually, there was another incident a couple of years on where you're appealing a red card and there's emails sent and it's very important to you, and you bump into somebody involved.
The chairman, yeah.
Right.
In the petrol station, and he starts laughing at me.
And he's like, sure, but laughing at you, and I don't think he's opened the email even that you've sent about the situation, and you just feel, hang on, this is not a joke.
Yeah. He was treating it felt to me that he was treating it like a joke.
Okay.
Do you know, sure, we'll go down here and just be a bit of crack, kind of a thing. Like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got sent off in the wrong.
Yeah. My reputation, my career.
Yeah. We lost the game. It was on the 6-1 news. Man was watching at home. Do you know, those kind of things that happen, but like, he was treating it like, it's all right.
And to skip ahead,
don't worry about it.
Yeah, one of the reasons you suspect Micheál Donoghue eventually left is he just was a bit fed up dealing with them.
Oh, I'd say so, yeah. Now, that's for Micheál to obviously say in his own time, maybe, but like, I remember under Micheál, we were in Ballinasloe one day for training and the gates were locked. And that's county ground, like. Do you know, I don't know, did we get the keys eventually, or we had to climb the fence or whatever, or the gates, but
sort of amateur in the worst sense.
Yeah, like, he was, for a long time, he had to go get his own funding to, you know, help out with different things. It definitely wasn't a sport to the county board as it is now. I'd say he was dealing with the county board and going, this is a sideshow like that. I need the support of them. I don't need to be arguing with them the whole time to get this and that. Whereas you look at the successful counties like Ned Quinn with Brian Cody, like, they were obviously entwined. John Costello with Dublin. You see the most successful counties and they have really good guys involved and not looking for, you know, they're not in their own interests, but they're in the interests of Kilkenny and Dublin, you know. And it's the same probably with Limerick now, like, you know, when you look at the supports they have in the background, it's really good.
Yeah. To round off the club chat, it would be wrong of me to give a false impression, because obviously that's a tough start in many respects, and you're being stitched up, and it's you know, it's serious injury. In the main, what comes across is Portumna family club. It's kind of like the glue of your life. It's just such a happy thing, and
Yeah.
it's kind of magical, you know. You're still trying to tug out.
Oh yeah, it is magical, because where we came from to where, for what we achieved in that space of time, like we became a senior club in 92, I think it was, and got the first county final in 95, lost it, second county final 2003, won that, and then we're in lost 4, won 5, lost 6, won 7, 8, 9, won 13, lost 14. So in the space of like 10 or 11 years there, it was pretty special time for the club. Like won 4 out of 5 Club All-Ireland finals. Just lost one club. So for like a small, relatively small parish, like there's a town, but like it's a 5 mile kind of radius. I live on the border like of the next parish, and I'm 5 miles outside the town. And the other side of the town, in the town, is basically Tipperary. So you kind of have a semi little circle there. So it's not a huge parish. And for us to achieve what we'd done or did in that time it's probably something I still don't fully appreciate, because I'm still playing and stuff.
Yeah.
But like in 20, 30 years time, it'd
Be good reunions.
be good reunions, and there's no better boys to enjoy themselves.
A magical thing to do with your brothers and your cousins and your family. I mean, that is special.
Oh yeah, it's there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Nothing like it. It's like we had great crack as well. Like, do we good characters on the team? Like with the Hayes, the Smiths, the Lynches, you know, all the boys. Like there was a good few brothers and stuff, but we enjoyed ourselves as well.
Yeah.
Like that was huge. Like even at the book launch the other night, there was a good few of the boys there, and Eugene McAtee was our full back, and he was there in the middle of it, and you know, the boys have good crack together still.
Yeah. That seems to never change.
Yeah.
Every team.
Yeah.
Flicking a switch back in each other's company.
Yeah. Exactly. So
An
it was,
inside joke from 20 years ago is all. You know?
Yeah, there's loads. There's a good few of them, but they couldn't go in the book.
Ger Loughnane, so you're enjoying life in LIT. By the way, I didn't mention that. Like, it's a really nice release valve, to echo that expression you used about winning the All-Ireland, to be down away from Galway as you're coming on the scene, and you're living with, you know, James Skell amongst others, and it's fun, and you're enjoying life under Davy. You take the first year of Loughnan's tenure out, which you'd always intended to do. That wasn't a personal thing if people thought it was. And you play the second in 08. So in his 2 years, and obviously the whole country was interested in Loughnane, Galway, for obvious reasons. In 2 years of Loughnane in charge of Galway beat Laois and Antrim.
Yeah.
And you say in the book, he never forgave us for not buying into his gospel. Why didn't you buy into his gospel, do you think?
I'm not too sure why. Like some of the stuff was a bit mad. Like I think I say like even that there was teams announced late, and like even before that Cork game, he was picking the team, and it was like you were just looking at it going, does he know the team in the dressing room? Like he told Chunky Hayes to go in and mind me in the full forward line, like senior intercounty hurling. You're thinking like, here, I can mind me up myself, and Chunky was probably thinking, geez, I can hurl as well a small bit myself. Like, don't have me minding Joe. Like, so stuff like that, and
not heavy on tactics or modern.
Not really,
approach.
but there wasn't really a whole huge thing on tactics at the time either.
Fair point.
Do you know, when you look back at that stage,
Not as outdated as it would be today.
No, not for sure. But then there was still, like Louis McQueen told us one day that his kids don't even know him anymore because he was giving so much to us. Like, but sure, that's like,
it's not my problem.
No, but that's a bit of a, like, of course your kids know who you are. Like, you know, you're not spending that much time with us. You know, so there was stuff like that we just found funny.
And as opposed to impressive, which is what you want.
Yeah. No, for sure. His team talks and stuff like that were good, but at the end of the day, we probably did we have, like, I was with the Dalo there at the start of the year, the Clare supporters club thing, and he was like, if you don't have the paint, you can't paint, and he was like, Clare have the paint, so they can, and it's probably the same. You need your players as well. So realistically, were we good enough as a bunch? Probably not. Okay. And that's myself included. Like, I'm obviously saying myself, but like, you need the players as well, to win these things. You can't just say, oh, it's all management's fault.
Sure. Actually, that's and there's a theme right across where you talk about different managers. To be fair to you, that is often in the explanation as to why it didn't work out. It's not, it was all his fault. I thought it was odd because I suspected Loughnane one way or another would be a great man manager. I thought it's really odd that in the course of an entire season, you say in the book, you don't actually remember, and you're new on the scene, you don't remember him sitting you down for a one-on-one conversation ever.
No.
Unusual approach.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't, to be honest. And maybe that was a little bit because I didn't go in the first year. And he was writing stuff still about me that year. He said I'd never make it, basically.
He can win Fitzgibbons all he wants, but I'm not even sure he could make it intercounty.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And maybe he kind of stood off me a small bit. Well, no, I didn't bother me, like. But yeah, I never really remember him coming on. No, I'm sure he did and go,
How are you?
Yeah.
But it's that. Let's have a chat.
Small chit chat, like.
Let's have a coffee and get to know you a bit. It's your first year into county. Let's talk. That kind of a set
no.
piece.
Jeez, no. I don't think that'd be his thing. But never found that with him. But like, as I say in the book, a lot of the stuff he probably said about Galway, if you're being 100% honest with yourself, sometimes he was right. Like, about like not being soft, but maybe mentally not seeing out games and stuff like that. A lot of the times we didn't do it, and that's the reality. Now, you don't want to believe that when you're playing. When you're playing, you're like, oh, what is he on about?
Yeah,
we'll show him. But if you're honest with yourself and you go, well, we didn't, and until you start winning, you don't shut up them people that are saying those negative things about you.
Yeah. John McIntyre, you reminded me. So in his 3 years, he can count himself a touch unlucky in that it's a succession of 1 point defeats. But then maybe that fits into your theme about, well, not quite getting over the line. So I guess if it happens 3 years running, it's more than just luck. But I suppose, what I remember from reading about McIntyre is very confident man, and that's nothing wrong with that. But he's people met Johnny. He's confident.
Yeah.
The endless meetings. So you finish training on a Tuesday or Thursday, and there can be up to 90 minutes of 4, 5, 6 voices. Just well, I don't know what they're even talking about. There's a lot of talking to the point where you're all sitting in our dressing room starving. Like it's 10 o'clock. We're having another 90-minute meeting. It gets to a point where Papa John starts sending pizzas to the dressing room.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
I couldn't believe that when I read it.
Yeah. That was like,
so
that was like 9 and 10. Like
9 and 10. Back
to nutritionists, basically.
Yeah.
Like that was the nutritionist made the call. Like, you need food,
right?
So what can we get? And like the county board probably said, "Oh, we'll get you Papa John's." Because at that stage we used to go down to, I think, like if it was in Pierce Stadium, we go down to the Orleans Hotel.
Yes, get some proper food
and get food after.
So are you tucking into pepperoni on a Tuesday?
That was it. Like, yeah.
But you said Ollie, who's militant and a thorough professional.
Some lads wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like Damien Joyce and Ollie and these boys. Like,
so then they're not eating.
They'd be probably peeling off the cheese off it. Like,
but they're undoing the good work of training.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Not eating. It's mad, isn't it?
It was madness. And like,
are you frustrated with all this at that age, or are you thinking, nah, fuck, whatever?
Yeah, you're kind of like just...
Because you're still youngish.
You're still, and you're kind of just in there and they're like... Yeah, I wouldn't have been like a few of the lads would have been going mad. The older guys that would have been there for a while, right?
But if you were 30, 31 and that was happening,
Oh yeah, I'd be
you'd
going
have
mad.
flipped the table.
Yeah,
I'd say.
yeah, probably. Yeah. It would have been not the right thing. But when you're young, you're kind of like you're just grand. That's bit of pizza.
Pizza's nice.
Yeah, but yeah, and that's what happened. Like, but Mac, John Mac was. Yeah, he was good in lots of ways, and we were maybe a little bit unlucky at times with him.
That was around the time, and you reference it in the book. I remember the day actually. I was working that Saturday when the famous Brendan Linsky, No Lane, Conor Hayes interview. I think it was in the Irish Independent actually.
Yeah.
And so it was ahead of a Dublin game. It doesn't help that you then lost to Dublin that day.
Yeah,
but they really went to town on you, like things like afraid to put up their hand and catch a ball. They might hurt a nail. This kind of stuff. And it was around that time that reputation for Galway was really kind of embedding with the public.
Yeah.
Soft, mentally weak, etc.
Yeah. Well, Linsky was involved with Lucknan as well, like. So maybe that was a bit got to do with it. Conor Hayes was there before as well. Like all these guys, it didn't help.
No.
It doesn't help when your own county men are going against you. Why they felt the need to do that, I'm not too sure. Like there's other ways of going about it, do you know? That certainly wasn't going to make us any better.
Yeah.
It would probably even put worse thoughts in our head in some ways, and add to the whole fuel of everybody else talking about it. But it was funny, like I kind of forgot about that thing until Vincent reminded me of it.
Oh, did you? Okay,
yeah.
Interesting.
Because I would have paid very little attention to lads like that.
As in, I don't respect your opinion, I'm not going to value it. But hang on, you're also... you're
not
in public,
really, but like...
You're in online forums at the same time reading what Joey Anonymous is saying about you. So.
Yeah. Like at the time, like you do, but then you're kind of going like, oh, Jesus Christ, lads.
Affect them kind of thing.
Yeah, like why... You'd be kind of half thinking, what's the angle here? Like,
okay, that's why you connect the dots to Loughnane or different.
Yeah,
there's an ulterior
there's
motive.
something here like that's not stacking up right. Or is it like somebody else trying to lead you down this path and you're just falling for it and going with it? Because that happens as well, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the end of the day, results tell a lot, and when you look back, unfortunately, sometimes they're right.
Things obviously do improve. We're talking about a career here where there are All-Ireland finals in 12 and 15 and a win obviously in 17 and another All-Ireland final in 18. So like the memory of that team is now very, very different. It's worth emphasising.
Yeah.
I shared the anxiety. So 2012 All-Ireland final, you scored the equaliser, crapping yourself over it, but you get it over. It goes to a replay, you do a board gosh event, and again, where I felt sorry for you was, even at the time, I thought it's fairly obvious and not controversial what he's saying. Like there's a slight nuance to it, but not that much nuance.
Yeah.
You're talking about Henry Shefflin, and you're talking about winners, and you're talking about like, you gotta, pointy elbows, and you gotta, if you're a bit unsportsmanlike, and that if Henry's a bit unsportsmanlike on the pitch at times, that's what we need to be like. He's everything that's a winner.
Yeah,
and of course
that's what I was trying to basically say. But
look, you did. I think anyone I think if Henry or anyone in Kilkenny read the article, then I think they would have known exactly what you're saying, and they would have been like, yeah, game respects game, no problem. Yeah. But obviously, Cody and
just that name.
They would have twisted
word,
it.
Like, yeah, it was, definitely. I would have done it myself.
Yeah, they would have used it. But so you get a phone call or a text the morning that lands in the papers before the replay.
Yeah.
What the F have you said?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh no. Turn on Ireland AM. They're talking about it. Boom. Or it goes off. Yeah. What's interesting is, two things. I'll come to your relationship with the media. But first, Kilkenny win the replay.
Yeah.
You have a quick word with Henry on the pitch. Listen, no problem. He's happy enough anyway.
Yeah,
but no problem. I don't suspect there was a problem. But what I thought was interesting was you say, I felt in part blamed by my teammates. I sensed it then, and I sense it now. Now you acknowledge it could be a bit of paranoia, but
Yeah.
you feel that they're kind of thinking, "Feckin' hell! Of all the people you had to go and rile up, it's you know."
Yeah, they're definitely probably. It could be a sense of paranoia, but it was never said to me. But I'd get the feeling that if I asked one or two of the guys, do you think that had an effect on us losing? I'd say they would say yeah, because it gave Kilkenny an extra bit of an edge. And do you know what? I'd probably agree with them in a lot of ways, because if that was the opposite, we would have used it.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. I don't think that's a major issue that lads would kind of blame what I said for us maybe losing. And I mean that as in it would give Kilkenny an extra bit of incentive. And yeah, I think that's only natural. So would I blame the lad? No, I don't. Like, if they blame me for what I said, then fine. Like, because it probably did give them a little bit of an edge. And then if you look at the game, I hit a shot, hit the butt of the post, rebounded out instead of in. They go down the field and I think they get a goal or a point, and it just swings the game. And it goes from us nearly going a few points up to them going a few points up, and then the game just goes from us. So it's funny how, like, if we won that game, people wouldn't be talking about it.
No.
You know, it would have just died a death. But because we lost, because like we're still getting like letters for months after from Kilkenny supporters, you know, about it. But that's it's like anything. It's like 17 when I'd done the interview. It was supposed to be, I'd done it with Vincent as well. It was supposed to be about 3 weeks before the semi-final. Whatever happened, it was the day before the semi-final. And if we lost that semi-final, people would be saying, "Oh, why were you doing an interview like that?" And you lost.
Yeah.
But when you win, everybody's like, "Oh, it's grand. Yeah, great interview."
Yeah.
So, like, there's such a big gap between winning and losing and perspective. It's crazy, really. Like,
That's a line in the sand with your relationship with the media then. They go from being, they all seem like reasonable chaps here and say relatively nice things about me, to not to be trusted. And actually, even a bit more than that, you do say, like, as a whole, 90%, I'm angry at them.
Yeah.
And I'm also happy enough if they sense that off me. So I will come out of the dressing room and sort of glare at them, and I won't be overly friendly. And if they think, "Geez, Canny doesn't seem to like me," I'm kind of happy enough if they think that. And that was you and the media till the end.
Yeah, for a lot of it.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
And
it was more specifically one or two guys.
Right.
That day that really pushed that. And I did question him at another event, and he kind of like, he had a smart remark to me, and that really kind of.
Okay.
And I could see, and I was in front of other journalists, and I could see the rest of the journalists back him up. That's what then. I was like, oh, they all think, you know.
I think
it was right.
I think you call him a book as saying, "Well, look, Joe, you said it," and then what annoys you an hour later is you're like, "Well, I fucking did say it." So.
I did say it, but not in
that way. Yeah.
Not in the way he portrayed it to mean.
Yeah.
He left out, we need to be like Henry and
right. Okay, that's the crucial aspect.
That's what annoyed me. But I shouldn't have said the unsportsmanlike word. That's at the end of the day, that's the reality, and I shouldn't have. But that's the naivety, I suppose, of a young fella in some ways. But
I know it's funny. You're only 23 then. Like you just felt you'd been around so long, and so the media thing is a fuel for you. That comes across, like things that are said, and you
it was
take it,
it was
you
changing.
use it.
It was the media was changing at the time as well, because like social media was coming on around that time, like Twitter and stuff, and then online.
Yeah, which is more clickbaity by its nature.
And I felt that the younger generation of, let's say, journalists were looking for that headline with their questioning.
Okay.
So, like, there was loads of days when I'd be at a Borgosh Energy event or whatever, a launch date, and there'd be a few journalists in it, and I'm sure you were there in your days at different things, but 3 or 4 guys that ask questions and be fine, and there'd be one guy that would ask a question, and you know straight away he's looking for this headline, and that would just, I'd be gone then.
Shutters down.
Yeah, and it would ruin it for everybody else. And I'd say they would have sensed that a lot. If I sensed that a guy was looking to kind of create something from me, I'd be like, here, sorry guys, that's it now.
Yeah.
Forget about it. You're not getting much off. And because I actually enjoyed being honest. Like, I enjoyed giving my opinion. And that's why I enjoyed doing one-on-ones with the likes of Vincent in this, because I knew he wasn't going to look for the heading. He was more interested in actually just creating a story and creating a piece that is worthwhile, rather than creating a clickbait.
No, you could tell it really rankled with you. You just thought it was really frustrating, and that probably extends to the way you talk about just being quasi-celebrity. I know you'd balk at the word celebrity, but being well known, being recognised, how the public interact with you, people, camera phones, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that doesn't come easily to you. You are not Joe Brolly, friends wherever he goes, really at ease, and really like a classic extrovert, enjoys the conversations and the small talk, and you're more in the introvert. Yeah. It's not to say you can't do it, and I've never found you to be in any way unpleasant anytime. We don't know each other well, but I suspect, like a classic introvert, it takes some of your energy, and you get home and you're a bit like...
Yeah, like I would have been very shy when I was younger. Like, being this youngest of 7, it's kind of like...
You wait your turn.
Yeah, well, in some ways, yeah, but I would have been very shy and quiet in a lot of ways. And my personality was never to be argumentative with anybody either. So if it's like that with the county board, like, I would have never went up to anybody and had an argument with them. I'd rather bite my mum always used to say, bite your lip now and just, that's it. Just get on with it. So it's the same with the journal. I wouldn't have really been argumentative with them, but I wouldn't say anything. And they'd probably know from my tone more so than anything. The same with if I... and that's always the way I was. I always felt it was probably better to say nothing and more of a... You're saying something by saying nothing in some ways,
I suspect they got the message. At one stage, your dad says to you, obviously when you're coming home, and you've read stuff and you're complaining about what so-and-so has said once again, and your dad, who loves his hurling, by the way, like that is a lovely aspect of the book. He loves your Fitzgibbon days, him and Uncle Frankie down the car, watch the matches. Christ, Joe, everybody can't be a prick.
It's I've actually got that sent on to me a good few times already, that a lot of guys think that's the best line of the whole book. But right. It's true, and that's I would be, and that's not a good side of me. That's not a good side of me, but that's just the way I am, and it's the way I grew up, I suppose, in Portumna more so than anything.
Yeah. Well, look, it's good. I saw you write about being almost accosted by 2 Limerick fans at Adair Manor now that you're into your punditry, and them giving it to you in the halfway house in a big way. And I thought, good enough for him. Let him have a bit of that.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Yeah. That's fair enough. They came in apologising 2 hours later, and when they were finished.
Clock coming against us. So 13, 14, 15. And again, that's that period right before 15 is an All-Ireland year, and 17 and 18. Like, to state the obvious, I don't need to state it, but like, you're doing miraculous things on a hurling field a lot of this period. I mean, there's a reason that lots of people, when they're talking about the greatest hurler of this century or of all time, you're in that very elite, there's no questions asked that you're part of that conversation. Impossible to pick one, but you're of this level. It's a phenomenal thing. And yet I was struck by, in 13, 14, 15, you sort of say in the book, I've no strong memories of that kind of time. Like, it's a bit of a blur, and it culminates with you confiding in Fran O'Reilly, who the GPA put you in touch with in the Spa Hotel lobby. And like, you're kind of in tears, proper tears, weeping almost for 5 minutes. This is a time of your life where life is happening. Your mum has been diagnosed for the first time. You are leaving work early 2 times a week to travel all the way down to Galway for training. You feel guilty about this. You don't like your colleagues seeing you this kind of liberty. You mess up a relationship, the throes of life, and you say, all my fault, but obviously it's weighing heavily. And the captaincy is taken off you but also it's not taken off you in a conversation. It just kind of in the league drifts over to somebody else and then sort of stays there, and it's not really spoken about. So all of these kind of things, and then whoom, you're in tears. Just
Yeah.
But again, from the outside, I'm looking at Canning around this time, going, "Geez, the boy's good," you know.
Yeah, and it's more from an inter-county thing that I can't remember much. Like, if you think back, our club, we won the county final 13, Club All-Ireland 14, like Paddy's Day 14, then lost the county final in late 14. So that wasn't too bad, but definitely an inter-county kind of thing. It was a bit strange. But yeah, that thing with Fran O'Reilly, like, I didn't really think there was... Until he pointed out the 4 things, like he was like, these all have to be aligned for you to be happy in your life and stuff. And when he was asking me about them, I kind of realised then that no, they're actually not. And that's the reality. And I don't know if it was a watershed moment or anything like that. I'm not 100% sure, but sometimes it's just good to cry. And I think that was it.
Yeah.
I just let it out for a few minutes, and that was kind of it then. And you're kind of leaving there going, right, get my shit in gear now and just get on with stuff. And that was it. Like, there was no like
Counselling for weeks on end. It's just a build-up maybe.
Yeah, and that's all it could have been. And it could have been just it's a mad thing to say that, you know, you have a cry and then, let's get on with stuff. And that's how it was kind of brought up as well, that you just get on with stuff. It's like Ollie picking me up. Here, get up. That's it. We need to win this match.
Yeah.
And then that's how we were. You just pick yourself up and you get on with stuff. Don't be feeling sorry for yourself.
Anthony Cunningham, I think people are generally aware in the kind of heave against him, the 26-6. You're one of the 6 who's saying, no, Anthony, I think we're doing okay here. Less so his backroom team.
Yeah, well, yeah. There was some things you needed to change, all right, yeah.
But you do say, as you lead into Micheál Donoghue, rightly or wrongly, Anthony's gone, and now we have to justify the execution. So that's the mood, I suppose, as Micheál Donoghue takes over. You've had a good run with Anthony. Like, you don't get to All-Ireland finals by being a bad team, but something's not quite right, and the players have the heave. And invariably it drags on across months, and it's messy, and of course it's Galway, so it's in the public, and it's all of that stuff. What is it that Micheál Donoghue does that... you think, if you had to boil it down, what was the kind of missing ingredient that he brought to the party?
I think he gave more ownership to the players and put more pressure on us to that we weren't basically looking to the sideline looking for answers the whole time,
right.
And that we couldn't look over and go, why aren't you telling me this? And using him as a kind of a crutch in a way.
How does he do that?
He would have done a lot of stuff, like myself and like Davy Burke got captain, I got vice captain, and we were two that kind of wanted, and like not necessarily we voted for Anthony to stay, right? So when Micheál came in, then he made us captain, vice captain, and like before trainings and stuff, we would have met him in like different parts. Like if we were training Loch George, we would have met him in the Clare Galway hotel an hour before training, and he'd be telling us, here, you need to have a go at this now tonight, or have a go at these guys, and you need to do this and do that. And I'd be like, I don't know if I can do that. And he's like, I need you to do it.
Right.
Like talking or communicating to different guys and stuff. So it felt like we were kind of leading the whole thing, whereas in the background he was kind of orchestrating, and he would have done it with different guys as well. Like we would have had a leadership group, that 6 or 7 or 8 guys that he probably would have been talking to at different times. So it wasn't just me or Davy. Like it could have been Johnny Cohn or Joey Cooney or Dahi or somebody.
I'm seeing a puppet master here, all the strings.
Yeah, and he was very good at that.
Right.
So he would have, like, Micheál never took a drill unless he probably had to, maybe once or twice is all I can remember really. And that was only just to give it to us. Like Franny, he would have let Franny do all his hurling and Noel Larkin. And then Lucas would have been trusted with everything. Yeah. And he would have he basically like a puppet master. Yeah, it's a good way of putting it, I suppose, that he would have looked after everybody and got the best out of everybody and got good people in around him.
An All-Ireland win felt like such a kind of Everest for you and felt important for your career and your quality as a player. We even heard Dave Burke there saying, geez, would have been a travesty if we hadn't got one for Joe.
Yeah, but that's not even for me. Like, there was lots of lads that were there for years, like,
but,
you know.
But it's back to that thing you hate. I mean, there's a period actually in 13, 14, 15 when you're kind of, there's a build up of things, and like it's around this time that your big old noggin is put on the Galway team bus.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, oh, that is all I need. There's already a Joe and the 14 other losers vibe in the media, which you hate.
Yeah.
And now there's this. But I think it's a lovely thing the way he says that actually in your Lake Regale. It's not to say there aren't others who it was important. They won in All-Ireland as well. But look, you were a special player, and I think they sort of felt that towards you, and that's okay. Like, I mean, there are different levels, and you were of a certain level, and you'd been around a long time, and the clock was ticking, and it was like, I'm sure he wanted to win it for himself, but part of it was you, you know. Did it kind of, such a long build-up, did it kind of live up to the expectation of what you hoped it would be? Was it a magical day, magical feeling, heaven?
Yeah. It was brilliant, yeah. There's no doubt about it.
Right. Some players say it's an anticlimax, so that's great.
No, no, like on the pitch after, in the dressing room, on the bus, the Monday night, the Monday on the bus going down, the Monday night, we were together, the Tuesday, and the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
And are you feeling relief? Like, oh, no.
Like, I didn't enjoy the Sunday night.
I know you said that the banquet's a lot.
The banquet is a bit...
Yeah, selfie city.
Yeah. Do you know, that sort of... So I didn't enjoy when I wasn't with the lads. And I don't mean that in a unthankful way but it's just like, it's a lot.
Of course it is. And
they're not doing it in a bad thing.
No, they're not fruitful interactions. It's quick, and can I have a selfie, and can I have a selfie, and suddenly it's 1,000 faceless people. But to use a terrible analogy, I always remember, and this shows how you and I have lived different lives, but I always remember getting my driving test, and I was walking down the stairs going, brilliant, and they can never take it away from me. Just that sense of, I've done it now, and it's, you know.
Yeah.
You must have thought that, finally, weight off, relief.
Yeah. Like you said, it's pressure valve, just nobody, and it's strange, like, you're kind of thinking, like, nobody in a pub now can come up to me and go, 100%. You don't have an All-Ireland. And it's those situations where you get a guy with a few points in him, and he come up to you and go, jeez, like, this guy's got 5 All-Irelands, you've nothing. Do you know? And you're like, all right, whatever.
But you would have been akin to Colin Montgomery, who has to spend the rest of his life being the best golfer who never won a major. You have to be the best hurler who never won an All-Ireland. And that's this kind of thing. I don't know if you would have seen it in those terms, but that would have been there.
Yeah, in my own head, I would have said it before, like the likes of Ken McGrath, John Milan, Tony Brown, Ollie, Damien Hayes, like me, those guys to me are like, they were class, like they were class. And there's lots of guys in different counties that might have 4 or 5 All-Irelands in their back pocket, but might never have hurled as much as a Ken McGrath. And do I look at them any better because they've All-Ireland medals than I do a Ken McGrath? No.
Fair point.
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
So I think this whole thing of whether you win All-Ireland or not is a bit more
nuanced.
Yeah, and it's given a bit too much weight in some aspects, because, like, unfortunately, you mightn't be born in the right county in a lot of ways.
And you did feel that way about whether you won one or not, did you? You didn't feel, if I don't win one, this is like my life ruined kind of thing.
Yeah, no, okay. I wouldn't have, like, obviously it would have been annoying because you'd have them lads coming up
for the next 40 years.
Yeah, and that's what I
but it wouldn't have eaten you in the car alone.
No.
Okay.
No. I wouldn't have been crying about it, like.
Right, good.
Yeah, no. I'd be content with, like, I won everything apart from an under 14. And that's all. I can't win that now. So under 14, Tony Forrestal, that was the only, like, 116 minor, 21 senior clubs, Fitzgibbon, Leinster's leagues, everything there was to win, I could possibly win. I've nearly won. So it doesn't really. It's not even about like that. It's more for me. It's about what people actually reckon, was I good or not. Do you know? I'd hate if people said, "Geez, he was a good miner." That's not nice. Like, even when I retired, like people were saying, like, "Oh, geez, yeah, he was really good at sidelines." Like that annoys me.
Yeah.
Because I thought there was more to me than sideline.
I think
cuts.
we all
No,
do.
but like you see,
you would have hated that.
some people.
Reduce it to that.
Yeah.
Do you feel you fulfilled your potential?
Yeah. In a team environment, I think, yeah. There's obviously stuff that you'd love to have back, like 18, that free in 18. I'd love to.
You didn't do much wrong with it, though. You
I just hit it. I tried to hit it too hard and I hit it.
Didn't trust your swing enough, you said.
Not like, yeah, just the distance and stuff and adrenaline and different things. But
that's a classic golf thing, is it? Where you try and give it a bit extra, you don't hit it as cleanly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you were
and
going
it was kind of like you sweaty hands and stuff, and it's late in the game, obviously, and that's one that annoys me. Yeah, that's one thing that probably I think back on that I'd love to have another crack at that. A lot of it got to do with because I get reminded of it a lot in Limerick now.
Gave JP McManus the hurl.
Yeah. I like, it was in my car and we were playing and JP was inside and I just hear it would give you better memories than it gave to me. I think he has it in his bar at home. Like, yeah.
A kind of difficult thing for you to articulate, but like there were times on a pitch where you must have felt, oh my God, I am just whatever you want, I can serve it up. I'm feeling fit, I'm feeling strong, my touch is good, my eye is in, everything's working here. Difficult to articulate what that must feel like, not least with 80,000 people kind of watching and the adrenaline and everything. I can only imagine what it's like. What are your kind of, when you think into being inside your head and inside your body in those kind of periods, what's it like?
There was lots of times when I was the total opposite as well.
But on the good days, there were a few.
On the good days when you're kind of in that free state and it's just flowing and things are just popping into your hand right. Yeah, it's just kind of, it's easy.
Easy, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest, like the best way to describe it is it felt easy. Just felt natural. It felt easy. And other days then that you were just like, I can't do anything. Like, it's just, no matter where I run, no matter where I go, the ball is just not dropping. And your legs feel heavy and you feel like you're like you're fit enough to be running, like, but you're like, oh, I can't move.
Yeah.
Do you know, there's other days then that would have happened. And then, yeah, there's days then that you just feel like, whew, I'm faster than I ever was, even though I was slow as a wet week. But, do you know, like there's things like that you can just enjoy, yeah.
Yeah, I'll bet. Listen, I've taken up enough of your time. I was going to talk to you about the hurl business, but I'm sure you've done that over the course of various interviews. And what a pity that had to fold with the dieback situation, which is shocking, by the way. I mean, it's just horrific. Yeah. Shefflin, the head said yes, the body said no.
Yeah.
The last question, I suppose, you say very early on in the book that post-intercounty life never frightened me.
Yeah.
And that working on my own terms was a big aspiration, like your working life. So are you feeling like really optimistic about the years ahead? Obviously, family life with Josie is kind of wonderful and there's a good few decades ahead there. But in terms of post intercounty life, not overly missing it, and working on your own terms. Like, I feel like you're involved with Camille Tire.
Yeah.
You're
We have 4 franchises.
Four
Camille,
franchises.
yeah,
Okay.
and then pub in Athlone. We have a pub in Portumna as well. So,
okay. So
it's not.
There's a business head there.
It's not great at the moment. No, it's tough business to be in.
Is it?
Yeah. The hospitality sector,
Seen a lot of
restaurants
closures.
and bars. It's closing every day.
Why?
Yeah.
And what's gone wrong?
It's just the costs. The cost, the margins are getting squeezed from the bottom.
Right.
There's just like that budget was crazy.
Yeah, I saw there was a lot of complaints from the hospitality sector.
Yeah, there's nothing to help really. It's just they're rising the cost the whole time, the government, and they're not really helping the other side.
Because the closures are worrying. Because obviously you look at the balance sheet, and because of the multinationals and less than a handful of companies, it's in rude health. But there is something wrong when on the ground, small and medium-sized businesses are closing. Like a huge sway of the economy, something's gone wrong.
Yeah.
So you're feeling that.
Oh, every restaurant, I'd say, pub, bar is feeling that. It's scary enough because Ireland is a tourism country. It needs cafes, bars, restaurants to be going well, but this cost of living crisis is only being increased by the government, increasing all the costs of underneath, because it has to be increased somewhere on the top. Instead, so everything's coming and it's getting really close, and it's very difficult at the moment.
Distressed?
Yeah, worried, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you're not immune
because
to,
rents and all that sort of
up.
stuff are up as well. So
your business is not immune from closure.
I hope not. Well, I hope it doesn't go that way. But it's you just have to try and survive as best we can.
Okay.
But it's scary. It's scary out there. The government will be best pleased with them now at the moment, to be straight up about it.
Yeah.
It's as if they're, I don't know, just looking for a different vote with the elections coming up and stuff like that. They really need to look at that, because there's going to be more, and there's livelihoods. Like there's places that have been that have been there for 20, 30 years closing.
Hub of the community.
And it's like it's the small rural areas that will really suffocate. Like that's what they'll suffocate, and it's not feasible for places to stay open in a lot of places, and it's going to be worse come next year.
Why?
With like the minimum wage went up,
Okay,
and stuff. Like it's gone up, I think, over like about 22% in the last 3 years.
And yet it's very hard to argue against that.
No, I don't. I don't argue against it.
But it's part of it.
But like they're increasing the minimum wage, which is fine. But that increases the cost of living, because that has to be increased onto the cost of a food or a drink, because there's nothing coming off the top. There's no reluctance with the VAT or anything like that.
And it's funny because on the other side of it, you go into a pub for a bit of pub food now or something, and you see the prices, and you're like, these are just taking advantage of the inflation. Like they haven't. That's no way that fish and chips is €20. That's kind of the thing.
But the government are causing that inflation by increasing everything on the bottom and not taking anything off to help the business keep it at 15 quid instead of having it at 17 quid. Do you know, like it's like wages alone for places next year is going to be crazy,
right,
by just that 80 cent increase. Like when we've roughly 100 people, like, so it's like you
do the maths,
and it's big.
Okay.
So there's lots of places that'll be really difficult. Yeah.
Interesting. Somber note to finish on, but
yeah. But it's the reality. I think.
Because I just thought I'd get a neat and tidy. Yeah, no, I'm loving the business and life's good, and
it's tough. It's tough.
Okay. Congrats on the book. I hope you're happy with it. Are you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. With Vincent especially, I feel like it's me talking.
It is. Yeah.
And it's not Vincent, but it is. If you know what I mean, and that's a gift for Vincent, like to articulate it through me. Like a few lads that have read it already feel like, geez, did you write it? And I'm like, no, Vincent wrote it. Like, but yeah, I can't thank him enough for what he done. So yeah, it's a lot of it is down to him. Yeah.
Well, listen, I suspect it will do really well. It's a great read, and he does capture you and captures the grumpy side and captures the vulnerable side, and all of that is in there. So Joe Canning, My Story with Vincent Hogan is in bookshops now. You've been so good with your time. I know you've been on the media trail today, so thanks so much.
Cheers. Thanks, Joe.
Comes to Joe Canning. Difficult angle. Is he going to score from there? Oh my God. Awesome.
Galway looking for another one. It's Canning once again, firing it in from near the sideline. It's a miracle shot. Giving it in there towards Joe Canning. Looking up at it, watching it. And the ball's gone over the bar.
Joe Canning. How did he do it?